Happy Wednesday to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. A big hello to all of you. This is In the Loop, and I'm here joined with my co-host and good friend, Greg Nibbler, and we are going to be sharing some big news with you today. And I'm going to keep you posted, of course, on all things business, finance, but I don't know, Greg, is it a big day? I feel like it's such a big day today. Today's been a busy day.
It's a busy day, especially for you. I feel like you've had a lot on your plate today that I'm going to let you talk about that. I'm not spoiling anything in case anybody doesn't know stuff, but a big day for Winnie. And hi, everybody. I'm Greg Nibbler. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. It's so much fun. In case you don't know me, been a tech reporter for a long time, covering all kinds of aspects of that. I'm going to talk about some of that coming up here today. Some bigger news coming out today, kind of looking at the future of the metaverse and everything that's associated with that. So drop in your comments, your questions, everything as we go through the show. But yeah, Winnie, I want to hear from you today because, hey, it's got to be crazy just with the financial markets, I'm sure, with everything going on, but also everything that's just happening right now.
There's a lot of things happening right now. I know, Greg, and I want to hear about the metaverse because, to be honest with you, it kind of confuses me a little bit, but I'm really, really curious to get your take on it. Well, hello. Let's just say I am Greg's plus one today. I am his good friend, and I am Winnie's son, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and today host of Yes Factor, which launched on the brand new LinkedIn podcast network. So congratulations to my friends at LinkedIn and all the other, I think there's 10 of us that LinkedIn presents brand new podcasts. So if you haven't checked it out, I definitely want to encourage you to do so. We are so proud of this project. Let's just say Greg knows this because he's heard a lot of the ups and downs and to getting to this point of just how much I would say passion and love have gone into this project for my team and I. So, and Greg is part of this. Greg, if you listen to it, I want you to hear because you're going to hear the voice of Greg. I mean, how can you have a show and not have Greg's voice in it? That would just be wrong.
Well, I'm just grateful that you even asked me. Look how awesome that looks right there. Like, that's amazing. And I know how much work that you all have put into that. It's just so cool that it's launched today.
Thank you, buddy. I mean, I'm so excited. I hope you all love it as much as, I hope you love it as much as I do. It kind of, well, I'll tell you, for those of you who don't know, the sort of the behind the scenes secret to this, well, the sort of the inspiration to this show, if you will, was back in the day when I was in high school and I was in AP Calculus. And every Friday, our teacher would have someone come in to talk to us about what they were doing after they had graduated school. And so this is sort of that sort of next level of that, of course. Now we're learning sort of the backstories of some of the biggest names, entrepreneurs, celebrities, social media powerhouses, and where they are today, but where they started from. And what was it sort of that aha or yes factor moment that really pushed them to reach that like sort of astronomical level. So I'm excited to join all the different guests on the show and kind of, ask the questions that you might be asking. But, I almost forgot. I got to talk about the market news too before we get there. It's like having this little baby that you've been like taking care of all of a sudden. You're so excited to share it with all of you. So thank you, Greg, for being here. And like, I just feel so grateful for your friendship, Greg, in this project. But let's talk about the market. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about the market. And I see Sadiq here and I see Vicky here and everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, really rough day on the financial markets today. So let me tell you how it closed. The Dow closed down 464 points. NASDAQ closed down 344 points, and the S&P also down almost 80 points, 79 points down. For those of you who are invested, you probably see this, probably making you a little nervous. The S&P declined now for this fourth session in a row, falling deeper into very difficult times. Dow down quite a bit as well. No surprise here. If you've been watching the news, you've probably been hearing about the issues and the tensions coming out of Russia and Ukraine. It's only seems to be getting worse by the moment. Now today, both the US and Europe have really started to almost in many ways sort of just piecemealing this together. They feel very, very rushed, trying to find ways to respond to what's happening there in eastern Ukraine. And so a lot of big economic sanctions are underway. The U.S. already started their first group of sanctions, and even actually freezing some assets and making things kind of difficult for a lot of key individuals in Russia right now. Germany has also halted the approval of the Nord Stream 2, which is their natural gas pipeline. Now, this would definitely have improved things between Western Europe's energy link over to Russia, which, as you know, Russia is the world's largest natural gas exporter. And I know, Greg, you were just talking about this before we got on the air about some of the things that you have to, or you're doing, right? Are you preparing?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna stock up on some propane for those exact reasons. Because just like you said, I mean, it's going to affect a lot what's going on over there. Just especially the further this goes, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be de-escalating anytime soon. And with that energy issue, I mean, I've already seen. I think you were saying that California gas prices have already gone up. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so it's going to be happening everywhere. So yeah, I'm planning on stocking up on some energy needs here for that.
Yeah, I think all these prices are going to go sky high. So
Yeah.
if you need, I had my husband go out, fill up the tank for the car. You're watching, you might want to do the same. Be prepared. Just know, because it seems like what we've been seeing, that Moscow seems to have been preparing for a full scale invasion of Ukraine for quite some time. So they were very, very prepared. That's what we're seeing out in the news. Not only that is, now we don't know if this is truly because of Russia, but we can only speculate, right? We know that many Ukrainian government websites actually are offline today. This is because of a mass attack, on a cyber attack today. And I'm sure Greg knows much more about this than I do, but they're saying, the source of this attack isn't confirmed yet, but, we can only speculate because of the controversy happening there. Could be because of Russia. We don't know. Now, crude oil prices is something that we do know, though. Now it had just spiked on a 7-year high. In fact, nearing $100 a barrel. So those of you who are looking, to make a road trip, or you just want to make sure you can get to work and get the kids to school, you might want to fill up on that tank sooner rather than later. It looks like prices are going to get really, really expensive soon. And it's not going to stop there, because a lot of the goods and services and foods that we rely on a day-to-day basis, are driven to the supermarket and the warehouse stores and everywhere else, because of vehicles, and many of them powered by gas and crude oil and all that stuff. So a lot of things to take a look at. The other thing I want to talk about, of course, is what's happening with inflation. And this is really key, because given what's happening in Russia, will there be an attack? And in fact, we're definitely seeing that already. We're seeing some of that being priced in now. The expectation now is interest rates will be going up pretty quickly and pretty readily. And in fact, this is where we're expecting. The expectation is that there'll be a 25 basis points, or in other words, 0.25% percentage point increase in March, which is just next month, on interest rates. So if you're looking to refinance, or you want to make changes to your credit card debt and things like that, you want to really pay attention to that, okay? And in fact, they're saying now that there could be interest rate increases not only for this year, but now going into 2023 as well. So lots to think about as you're, trying to figure out your own financial plans. Definitely want to pay attention to that. Now, one thing, Greg, that I want to share with you that's in financial news, I'm kind of disappointed about that. I'm really curious to see how you feel. So we do know, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy. Okay, he was nominated to the position in 2020, and he had pledged to convert 10% of the male people these vehicle trucks to more to electric vehicles, right? To be more green. But unfortunately now, there are vehicles, there are 230,000 of them. And this is actually about 1/3 of the country's entire federal fleet. Well, guess what? Actually, it looks like DeJoy has decided that 90% of these vehicles are going to be gas-powered vehicles. Do you hear this, Greg?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting choice, especially given where, it seems to be a lot more things are going electric, EV, and especially for things like that, for delivery, something that could be easily charged. So I think, it's an interesting move. There are, of course, issues with, one, delivering that many vehicles. just
Mhm.
manufacturing wise. That I'm sure is a factor in that, just getting that many to there. But I feel like it's kind of short sighted to just carte blanche say 90%, is not going to be that. So I feel like it's probably necessary right now, but give it a few years, and depending on how long these vehicles are in service, which is probably going to be at least a few years, that you would maybe have a little bit more foresight as far as slowly rotating it out, or maybe delaying it to get more electric vehicles in there. But yeah, it's an interesting move, and I want to see what the fallout's going to be for that.
Right.
Especially, like I said, a few years from now, 10 years from now. And,
Yeah.
and granted, they'll be replacing some of those vehicles, but that's kind of what you're looking at for that. So I would feel like that'd be a smart move to go with the electric side.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they can consider increasing to more electric vehicles so that
Yeah.
it's a little bit easier on the earth. But on a
Yeah.
positive, I love this news. This news came out, and I want to share this with all of you. And I think this is so cool. So Target. Many of you know Target. They're doing something really cool. So, delivery is obviously an expensive option for a lot of households, right? Having things that you need delivered to the house. But they've noticed that there's been a 60% increase of people enjoying things like curbside pickup. And if you've been following me on social, I'm like the biggest spokesperson fan of curbside pickup. I think it's the coolest thing. But so Target, what they're doing is now not only can you get the things that you need, delivered to your car. You just pull up to one of their spots, they'll bring the item to your car. But now you can even have Starbucks with your Target pickup. And here's the thing that I absolutely love more than anything. And I hope this becomes more of a trend to more companies. Target will also let you do curbside returns, which is awesome. Because who
I
doesn't
like
love
that.
easy returns?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just drive up, drop it off. That's great. Yeah. I'm a fan of this.
Yes, I am such a fan of this. So these are things I think I'm hoping this will, you will be more popular, especially since Target's going to be releasing this in the fall. So next time you need to pick something up and you don't want to have to hassle with going into the store or whatnot, you can consider Target for their curbside pickup. Now you can even get your Starbucks, and now when you need to make returns, super, super easy. And I think it's a really smart decision because obviously we're not past this pandemic completely out yet, and they're saying there could be other things in the future. It just gives, I think, gives a lot of power back to this consumer, which is super exciting. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's the big news for today. I mean, aside from, of course, our LinkedIn podcast network, which I was super excited. But I want to hear, Greg, what you have to talk about now, because I know there's a lot of things that we should be paying attention. And I will tell you that the metaverse is something that still somewhat confuses me.
Yeah. Yeah. Metaverse confuses a lot of people. You are not the only one. So much so that I just saw a report that Facebook, it's saying they've lost like somewhere around $500 billion. That number, that was just the report I was reading since they converted to Meta and started talking about the metaverse. But yeah, let's talk about that. So they had a big event today, an AI event talking about the metaverse, talking about the way that they want to move towards that, and really showing some of the possibilities and how they envision this happening. But let's just explain the metaverse just a little bit more, because it is a weird concept. And it's the idea that we'll be doing everything virtually. It'll be interacting with people. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we'll be avatars like you're seeing this. Could be, you interacting like an actual image of yourself. But it's that whole idea that everything's going to be covered in that way, and that's how you're going to be not only working, but interacting with family, friends, creating worlds in there, creating
So cool.
commerce in there, creating everything within this space. And it's utilizing not just a virtual reality headset, but really all the devices that we have. So that's the idea behind that, which is going to take a while to really flush that out. But that's part of what they were doing today. So some of the things that they brought up that they're working on for this, one of them is a universal translator. So we have that ability right now. There's all kinds, there's Google Translate. There's lots of ways that you can translate languages to somebody else, but they're looking more towards including pretty much any spoken language. And they did say there's about 20% of spoken languages that are not really covered by any of these least popular translators right now, but they're looking at it as like an instantaneous thing. So you could go into, say, a VR, a metaverse world, and you could be speaking to somebody, an English speaker could be speaking to somebody in Japanese, and it'd be pretty much an instant translation. And
Wow.
I do like that idea of increasing the ability to translate quicker and really, facilitate communication for
Mhm.
between different languages. Cause I think that's really, really cool. Like I would love to, have a conversation just like instantaneous like that with somebody in China or somewhere, a language that I do not speak, and to be able to have that kind of communication. So I think that's a really cool use case. And that's one thing they're working on. One of their big initiatives for the metaverse is to have that in there. So you've got that. You've got a few other things they're talking about and just giving, again, ideas of how this is going to work. And another one they brought up was voice assistants, and just how voice assistants right now, and that includes, I'm not going to name them all right now because then it'll set everybody's voice assistants off. But the idea that the communication between that becomes more natural. So working on the language that artificial intelligence uses to communicate with us and vice versa, to make it more like a natural conversation. So that's big picture, but that's really looking at AI becoming more human-like in the way that it could, you communicate with it. So that's another part of it. But then there's this one. And this one to me is, at first I kind of overlooked it, but really I think it's pretty interesting what they're doing here. So they gave a demonstration of creating worlds within the metaverse and how that would work. So you wouldn't have to be a programmer. You wouldn't have to be, know how it actually works. This is just all using language. Again, language being one of the main themes. And it's this demonstration. It's them saying, I'd like to see a beach. And then it creates this beach world. I'd like to see an island. I want a table. I want this. And it creates it for you. And all of a sudden you have this completely VR virtual world, all just by saying what it is that you want. And that to me is really sci-fi. For like Star Trek fans, it makes me think of the holodeck, which that's also amazing. So that's what they're looking at. This is just what this is. Like it's we're just at the verge of where this is going to go. And to be able to just speak something and have it just created in front of you like that. That's what they're looking at.
You can just see the future of this, right, Greg? Because we're looking at it this way right now. Still looks very video gamey, like almost like Animal Crossing-esque. But you can already see that like what you talked about in last week's show, when the game on Sony, and just that transition of, we can see it looking like this today, but just fast forward a year from now, what that experience will look like will be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Fast forward a year, or fast forward even 5 years, once it becomes more accessible to everyone. And I think that's really a big issue right now. They're showing all these concepts, but how many people actually have VR headsets or are interacting? It's not a huge percentage. There's more and more all the time. But I think that the hardware needs to be more accessible. Yeah, you can do it on your phone, but it's not the same. I think it's that VR experience that's really going to give people a better concept of it. If you look at it, and I'm not saying necessarily Meta or Facebook's going to be the leader, although they're investing the most in it, but we could really be at like the beginning of the internet, like when the internet was first coming out, and really just understanding, websites and how that worked, and how long that took before we all got the idea of it. That's kind of, I feel like, where we're at with this concept. We're still figuring it out how it's going to work, but it's going to happen, and we're at the beginning of it right now.
It'll be interesting, Greg. I mean, like, because you talked about headsets and whatnot. I feel like for this to go mainstream, it almost needs to exceed headsets. So I feel like, right? It needs to be something that, like you talked about, having language capability, just calling out, I want a beach, and saying, I want to speak in Chinese, or like really that experience. It's I don't quite understand it, but it's exciting to see. But I wonder sometimes, and I worry sometimes, of how much of like human interaction, in-person interaction, is just going to replace too.
Yeah, I think that's a big concern. Is this what we're going to end up, in the long term, where is everybody just going to be plugged in? I mean, the Matrix or Ready Player One, is that where we're heading with that? And certainly there's a lot of discussion and things to come from that. Although I think we're a long ways away from that. It's quite a ways down the road, but it's where all this money is going into, where the investment's going. A lot of businesses trying to invest in this. Banks are starting to invest in this. So it's happening. Just how it's going to look, I don't think really anybody really knows. Meta has their concepts, but things can change, things can happen. It could even be not just the technology, but again, whether we all want to do that. So yeah, there's a lot to think about with this, but that's that's the general idea of where we're at. And so that's what they were showcasing of where this is going to be going.
Wow.
Metaverse.
All right. Well, I feel like, Greg, we should just like, invest in really comfortable desks and chairs at this
know,
point,
right?
because it looks like we're just going to be working from home and hanging out the metaverse.
Yeah. I guess that's it. Yeah. Don't worry about working out anymore. So that was some news today. A lot that just happened this morning too. So there's a lot to kind of analyze from that. I'm sure we'll have some more information, but going from there, there's a couple other just little things I wanted to bring up that are happening. And this is for all the Apple users out there, all the iPhone users. There is a new update rolling out right now. It's the beta for the developers, but this is a continuation of the iOS update that we got last fall. And so you're going to be seeing some more things that are going to be happening. And a couple of them I thought were pretty key. Some of the updates that you will be getting. So I want to just highlight a couple of those. Taking a look there, you had a lot of things that happened with the latest iOS update, but now you're going to be getting some of the bells and whistles that really were advertised. One of them is that I'm going to say it once. That's it. Siri, the update, there's going to be an update to another voice, at least is another voice that's going to be on there. They're saying it's a little bit more of a gender neutral voice. So they're kind of updating that and adding that option in there, which I thought that was, that's a great idea as far as giving more ways that people can interact and more different ways that you can hear it. You also are going to be getting another thing called universal control. So universal control was, I don't know if you remember when we watched the video I watched the video when they had the big presentation, and it was about how you can control all of your devices across each one. So an iPad, you could drag and drop to your iPhone, to a Mac, and they just all kind of automatically connect. Mm-hmm. That's going to be rolling out, and probably in conjunction with the update for Mac OS as well. So you're going to get that pretty soon. And so that's going to be something that people are going to be able to do, which that I really liked that concept, especially if you're working on something on your phone. You're like, I want to send it to the Mac so I can actually work on it there. Just drag and drop, slide it over, and instantly shows up. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. So you'll be getting that. Then there's also this. So I don't know if you've followed along with much about the AirTags, the Apple AirTags, which that's like,
I got them.
You got one. Yeah. I actually bought some for my parents for Christmas because I really like the concept of those. The AirTags are great. And it's kind of, I've used Tile, but it's the same kind of concept. But there were some issues with AirTags being misused in that people were sticking them on vehicles and essentially turning them into tracking beacons.
Right.
And they're trying to mitigate some of that issue right now, to where it's going to give you a warning when you set it up, saying that you could be violating, criminal law if you do that, but then also some better ways that you can know if an AirTag is being used inappropriately. So there's going to be some updates rolling out to that to try to stop that. They paid attention to the fact that people are concerned about that, as they should be. I mean, you don't want to be tracked.
People knowing where you are.
Yeah.
Especially celebrities, I imagine, would just drive them nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So they're going to be trying to fix that. So we see some updates coming out with that as well. So that's something they are taking a look at and that they are going to try to fix. So, and they are going to remind everybody too, that if you do something like that, it is tied to your Apple ID. So if you do something inappropriate with them, and you get caught, then they're also going to allow that AirTag. I would say you find one. If there's an investigation, and I have to get into the exact details, but they would be allowed to essentially find out who that belonged to.
Well, that they should, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really appropriate because, sneakiness is not something we embrace.
No, not at all. So they're going to try to work on that. So that's just a few of the updates, and that's probably going to be happening in March. Is most likely when that's going to roll out to everybody. It's with developers right now, so they can start working on those things. But for the average iPhone user, probably March. There's also the rumors that's when we're going to get some new computers. So it's looking like March is going to be a big Apple month, most likely. Apple keeps that stuff pretty tight to their chest, but it does seem like it's trending that way, to where they're going to have some announcements coming out in March for some new computers, maybe some M2 laptops, maybe a new iPad. Who knows? But
that'd be cool.
Yeah, some new fancy stuff from Apple coming up. So there's some things to look forward to. And then the last thing I was going to update, this I just wanted to show, because we haven't heard a lot about this robot since it came out. And honestly, I kind of forgot about it too, because there's only a small number of people that have it. But Amazon last September came out with the Astro robot. And this is a home robot assistant. It's a little robot that rolls around on wheels and has like an iPad basically attached to it. And it's got eyes on there, and it can follow people around. And there was a video that came out of this guy using it to deliver beer around his house. Sending beer to someone. So just giving an idea of some of the different use cases of where they're going with that, and what you can do with a home assistant robot. But I think for all of us, that's a curious thing, having a home
Super
assistant
cute.
robot.
I remember you sharing this, Greg, and it was so cute.
Yeah, they're using it for like video calls. I know there was like a little girl talking to her grandma or something. They've got there's the robot that's going to go eventually during this deliver a beer to somebody at the house. But yeah, this is from a guy named Bob Rakita. So shout out to him for posting this video. I think a lot of people are kind of getting a kick out of it. Yeah, believe he says I can't remember the person's name, but I think it's like Celeste. Yeah, find Celeste is what he told it, and then it goes and delivers a beer to Celeste somewhere in the house, because it can recognize with facial recognition who it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So again, robot right now, you can only get one of those if you apply for a special invitation, and it still costs $1,000 to try it out, even beyond that. But eventually these are going to be going on sale. So I'm seeing the comment there from CrossX Fighter. What is that? A mini robot? Yeah, that's from Amazon. It's called Astro. And right now you can go on, it's actually advertised on the Amazon website, but you have to apply for an invitation to be able to pay $9.99 to get it, to use it. And then you have to give feedback. So there's a way that they're trying to test it out with people to see how people are using it and what some of the pitfalls are. There were rumors that some of them were throwing themselves off of staircases. So I think they tried to fix that. You definitely don't want $1,000 robot throwing itself down the stairs.
Yeah, that would be really, really bad. But I'm just thinking, like, what this is incredible.
Yeah.
Imagine the use for this would be. I mean, I would love to see this being used for health reasons, like we talked about before. Like, I love the idea of being able to talk to grandparents. Like, how cool is that? This is good tech.
Yep. And as an assistant, like you said, for somebody who needs maybe a little bit more care, and to be able to have them, call it out and come right over and make a video call to somebody. I mean, there's a lot of good use cases for it. There's always the natural concerns about facial recognition and all of, then there's the camera that pops up on it. That's right. So you could pop up and see if you left the stove on is what they're looking at. I would definitely use it for that reason, because now I'm paranoid I left my stove on, and I didn't. So there's some cool use cases for it. That's just seeing some people actually using it out in the wild. I think that's great. And just the fact that it was used to deliver a beer is.
Did you apply for it yet, Greg?
I didn't. I want to see where it goes first. And I don't have I actually do have a lot of stairs. So I'm like, it's not that many places it could really go without throwing itself down the stairs. So we'll see what some of these other videos come out with, and then maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I would love to set up, like at my mom's house, for example,
Yeah.
right? And just to know, like, she's okay, and
Yep.
and then but I don't know how she would feel about that.
Yeah, there's the other side to that. That's true.
Right, exactly. Very cool
Yeah.
tech.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So that's what I got for today. Just taking a look at some of the videos and news that's coming out in tech. But like I said, a lot coming up. I think March is going to be huge. There's new televisions. There's maybe an Apple event, maybe a Google event. I think we're going to be having a lot of cool tech announcements as we gear up here for the spring. So let me know, though, for everybody out there, if there's anything that you're seeing that you're interested in. There's always so much happening. No one person can keep up with everything that's going on. So please continue sending the messages. If you see something cool, please send it to me. It on whatever social platform you're on. I'm sure I'm on. You can always reach out to me and let me know. Or if you have any questions, I can send you in the right direction for anything. I've been getting a lot of television questions. So if I don't know the answer, I know who to send you to. So a lot of things there. But yeah, I just appreciate everybody tuning in. And Winnie, it's your big day.
It's a big day, but I so appreciate you gave me great advice on my television. So absolutely, I will continue to take you up on for that, Greg. And yeah, today's a big day. And actually, what's really fun, I wanted to invite all of you. So I know Greg's going to be with me, so that not quite the same if Greg's not there. So you're going to really enjoy this. But we're actually going to jump on LinkedIn in about half an hour here. And we're going to do a LinkedIn audio event. We're going to talk to some of the other podcasters that have launched on this brand new LinkedIn podcast network. And you definitely want to come. You want to check it out. If you haven't already, it's going to be, it's literally in half an hour. I've asked Greg to join us because obviously you know that Greg has been a very successful podcaster for quite some time now. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And there'll be a lot of really fun people and interesting people. I know there's a big team from LinkedIn, and hopefully they'll be with us as well. So next week's show, I'm excited, Greg, because I had a really, really special President's Weekend, and we went on a very special trip. So I'm excited to share with you some of the photos for our next episode next week.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, be well, everyone. It's been amazing to talk to you all. Hopefully, Greg and I will see you on the LinkedIn audio platform in just a bit. But otherwise, I guess be well, stay safe, and if you didn't already, and you drive a gas vehicle, might be good to fill up on that tank sooner rather than later.
I will definitely be doing that. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.